Hi guys. Welcome to the second podcast about calendar. So, um, this is going to be a podcast talking about calendar. And yes, if you guys hadn't listened or watched the first podcast that I talked about the basics, the first things that you guys need to know on this second podcast about calendar. So, um, this is going to be a podcast talking about calendar, and yes, if you guys hadn't listened or watched the first podcast that I talked about the basics, the first things that you guys need to know on this. So, what we're going to be talking about in today's podcast is getting a cold and strategy. So those are the two things that we are going to be learning in today's podcast. But before, there's a few things I need to say. Yes, you guys do see this behind me. I do English class on my regular account, my Nicolas Souza over at my English account. So in case you guys are wondering why you guys see that there is because of that. Don't worry about that. And I'm with headphones because I just decided to connect Bluetooth with my computer, and there might be some sounds around the room, so I decided to put headphones on, so in case the sound doesn't come up. So let's start by talking about this. So a calendar, what you guys need to consider about it, a few things. So number one, remember last podcast I talked about the beginning level of memorizing a calendar is if you guys look at the month of January of this year in 2023. Alright, so if you guys did that, good job. Because I think, from my opinion, that is going to be the beginner level of calendar for you guys to remember or to memorize. That's how, that's what I think about the calendars when you memorize it. Another thing, there might be strategies of memorizing a calendar from ways that you guys can think about it. So I'm going to show you a few ways that I have on my head for me to memorize it, and that's what I'm going to be talking about in today's podcast as well. How do you guys look at the last day of the last month when you memorize a calendar? So, for example, let's start off with January, since January is the first month of the year. And then we can go to February. 2 months. We're just going to do 2 months for now. So, um, in the month of January, what you guys need to consider is the January 1st started on a Sunday, and then January ended on the 31st, which was a Tuesday. So I'm going to show you guys right here. There you go. See? It started on a Sunday and it ended on a Tuesday. And then what you guys have to consider as well, do you realize the last day of the month, excuse me, yeah, which was on a Tuesday? Now look at the next month. Look what happened next month. Wait, actually, okay, there you go. The 7th is on a Tuesday. So every time, I'm also going to look at the few other months as well. I did say they were not, but I guess we are. But anyways, every time the last day of the month ends there, the 7th is there. So for example, let's take July. July 31st, which is going to be on a Monday this year. And then next month, a month after that, is on Mondays. There's going to be the 7th. In September, when is the last day of September? On the 30th, on Saturday. The Saturday, that's going to be the 7th in October. That's how you guys know when the next seventh is going to be, even if there is a leap year. That's the same thing. Remember, excuse me, in 2024 there's going to be a leap year next year, February 29th, and it's going to be the 7th of that day as well. So one of the ways that I'm going to recommend you guys doing is get the code of memorizing the last day of the month to make it the 7th the next month. So you guys saw there an example that I already did for you there. That's uh, the first way for you guys to remember to be any month, every month. Whenever it's the last day, the 7th of next month is going to be on that day. Bear that in mind. That's one strategy of getting the code. Next one. Now, this one is what I call the 4 years numbers pattern. So, what you guys need to consider, let's go all the way back. Before I say this, remember last time I talked about that it does not affect Easter and it does not affect the moon phases. So, in case you guys be like, oh, Easter is on supposed to be on the third Sunday. Oh, Easter is supposed to be on the second Sunday. It does not affect on the patterns that I'm about to say right here. Because Easter and the moon phases, or also Chinese New Year, like what happened this year, they jump around the calendar according to how how they do it. I guess moon phases or just how they do it. Just let's say that. So I just wanted to clear that off your mind in case you guys usually had a holiday this year or a few years ago or during the year that I'm going to show you here. That's not going to be the same because of how different the moon phases are, or just how the holiday jumps around. That's all I'm just saying. But for the other holidays, like I said last podcast, like Christmas, Thanksgiving, or St. Patrick's Day, President's Day, Martin Luther King, those holidays won't affect because those are always the same. All right, so just wanted to clear that off your mind. So the patterns. If you guys want to know the patterns, I can tell you right now, right here in this podcast. But there's a few things that you guys need to do as first before you do this. You guys can check on the calendar. So if there was a leap year before that year that got the dates aligned. So remember back at the podcast that I did, the part one, that I said that some dates get aligned. What are the basics that I said about there is that sometimes you have to align the dates when you memorize it, but it's only for the basics part. I'm not going to do that right now. But anyways, what you guys need to consider is after February 29th, that all the days after that, they all get in a different order from what they were supposed to be from that year. So let's say this. Let's go actually back to 2016. In 2016, February 29th was on Monday, and the dates got aligned after February 29th from March 1st and beyond, so that when 2017 came, which was about 6 years ago or five, if you guys are counting that, those dates got aligned to be like this as in this year as well in 2023. I know. Isn't that cool, right? Now, like I said, I'm telling you again, it does not affect the moon phases and it does not affect Easter. Let's say here, let's say this right here. Easter in 2017, can you guys believe it? It would have been yesterday in April 16th, but it was not because it got different in 2023 instead of 2017 being the same as 2023. So, the thing is, what you guys have to consider is that your birthdays, on the other hand, whenever your birthday was, it was the same 6 years ago. So that's what's happening. That's another good example to say as well. So that's one code. So it's six. How about 2024? Whoo! I'm telling you, before I say this, you guys need to first think about next year. First of all, it's gonna be a leap year. That means the dates are gonna be aligned to way off right after February 29th or beyond. So if you guys are thinking of, oh, 2017, 2018, oh, that's how you're saying no. If you guys have a leap year coming up, that is going to be 28 years pattern. So if we go back all the way to the leap year 1996, the years of that, of 2024 and 1996, they are aligned. So all those leap years, it took them 28 years for that, from all the leap years to happen at the alignment. The reason was that because of that is because there was some years like 2018 or 2010. All those years I didn't have a leap year. Those years did not get aligned in time to be at the same year, and also there was not February 29th. So that is not. So it usually takes 28 years for it to be the same as it was 28 years ago. So that is that for that part. Now, what are we looking at right now? We got something coming that's gonna happen that's called a pattern as well. And this pattern is going to be the 11 years pattern. Now you guys are thinking, why is it now an odd number? It was an even number. Now coming in 2025, it's an odd number. Oddly enough, making that an odd year for it to be a pattern. So, what is 25? That will be 2014. So if you guys go all the way down to 2014, the dates got aligned after the leap year, and it made it to be the same as 2014, which was um almost 2020, but it was not, because the thing is, what happened in 2020? In 2020 was a leap year, but in 2025 and in 2014, those are the 2 years that were not a leap year, because the dates were not every 4 years that were aligned, which had happened already a leap year in 2020 or in also 2024 and also in 2012. And it usually takes 4 years for a leap year, not 2 years, or you know what I mean. So that is that part right there. So it took 11 years to be the same dates in 2025, and also 2026, same thing, 11 years. So that is the code. So the code is, after the leap year, we're going to align this a little bit. 28, 11, 11, 6. Those are the four codes that you guys can think about that. So, now we came into a conclusion that had happened.
So this is
It's
going
gonna be an exercise of your brain. It's gonna be something that you guys are gonna be thinking about. So yeah, just I recommend just looking on the calendar. And yeah, it's the end of the podcast right now. Catch you all next time. Goodbye.